Hey guys, welcome back to the Piston Show. This is the highly anticipated Hyundai Santa Fe. It was launched in Malaysia in September of 2024 after quite some time of previews and teasing and such. And I'm quite glad that it's finally here because it is quite a nice car. Now it comes in 3 different variants, and this is, if you can hear it, this is the diesel variant, and it costs just under 210,000 ringgit. It's a D segment SUV, and that means it goes up against the likes of the Kia Sorento, which is technically its cousin, as well as others like the Yamaha C9. By itself, it's actually quite a nice SUV. I am a fan of diesel powertrains, and I quite like driving the new Hyundai Santa Fe. In terms of design, there's little doubt that the new Hyundai Santa Fe is actually quite a good looking machine. Now, the headlights are quite unique. In particular, this is your daytime running lights, which also double up as your turn signals, with your main headlight cluster just underneath over here. Those 20-inch rims are quite good looking, though I'm quite sure that when it comes to replacing the tires, that might just set you back quite a bit of money. Overall, it's actually quite a big SUV as well, and that's because the new Santa Fe is a 7-seater. The rear is actually unmistakably Santa Fe. It's quite a good looking design, no doubt about it. And basically this is how it looks like with the third row seats in place. Now I actually explored the third row seats, and it's, well, a bit tight for an adult, but manageable over shorter distances. Anything longer than say 5 kilometers, yeah, maybe not. Anyway, this is the amount of storage space that you get with third row seats in place, and if you don't want them there, you just need to sort of pull on this strap and put them away. And if you're wondering if you get a tonneau cover, you get a dedicated slot over here to place your tonneau cover. This is actually quite clever, but a lot of other SUVs have it as well. And this is basically your carpet if you don't want your third row seats in place. That is actually quite nifty. Now, if you need more space than this, let's say, you know, you're going away on a long camping trip and all, just these buttons over here, and this gives you a lot of storage and sitting space. Well, not sitting, maybe yoga space. Now, the massive body size of the Santa Fe translates into some comfortable sitting space, particularly in the first and second row seats. Now, in terms of interior design as well as quality of all the trimming, it feels really good in here. Now, the Santa Fe, particularly this model, this is the mid variant. You have the 1.6 liter hybrid variant, which is the top of the line variant. This is the mid variant, and this gives you the diesel powertrain, as I've said, and this carbon fiber look-alike finishing. Now, I'm not quite sure why they chose carbon fiber. Perhaps a little bit more something like wood trimming or aluminium trimming would have probably suited the overall ambience of the car better rather than carbon fiber, but hey, it is what it is. I can live with it. Now, the other thing about the interior is that you do not get a traditional gear selector. What you get are selector buttons over here. So you just get P, you get R, you get N, you get D over here, and this just makes it may seem a little bit cluttered over here, but trust me, take my word for this, it's quite easy to live with, because rather than moving a chunky lever, all you got to do is press a couple of buttons. And then this thing over here, if you're wondering, since we are over here, this is your drive mode selector. You get Comfort, Eco, Sport and Smart. Smart basically lets the car choose the drive modes according to how you're driving the car. Now, you also get something else called a terrain mode. Now, because this diesel variant comes with all-wheel drive, you also get different types of terrain modes. So you get snow, mud and sand, which means that you can probably go soft off-roading, which means that this Santa Fe all-wheel drive, diesel all-wheel drive variant is probably well suited for an active lifestyle if you like camping and such. Now, other than that, the interior, as I said, the quality feels really good. In terms of features, you get this 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system over here, which looks quite old, if I may say that, because we live in an age where gigantic infotainment screens are all the rage. So 8 inches does not quite cut it. So if this is going to go up against the competition from China and such, well, the 8 inches, not going to cut it. But you do get about 12.3, 12.5 inches instrument cluster over here. And I really like this because this digital instrument cluster has a trick up its sleeve. This is something that only Hyundai and Kia seem to have. So now that I've given my right signal, the right hand side camera that is mounted on the side view mirror has come on. This works in conjunction with the blind spot monitoring system and lets you know if there's something hidden out of your way when you need to merge into traffic or when you need to turn. The same goes for the left hand side as well. I really am a fan of this because sometimes, especially motorcyclists, tend to be hidden out of your view, and that just makes it a lot easier to merge. Besides that, as far as entertainment goes, you get wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, the works. Besides that, I also really like the fact that you get proper full leather all around the interior of the Santa Fe. None of that leatherette stuff and all. This is proper leather, so this I'm a fan of, according to the spec sheets anyway. And besides that, the other thing that I'm a fan of, especially, and this is going to matter especially to all you moms and dads out there, for which the Santa Fe checks all your boxes. Now, I really like the fact that the front seats come with ISOFIX mounts. So if you got a child that is throwing a tantrum, we all have kids that want to be in the front seats and such, but then you're worried about them not being buckled in properly. I deal with that all the time. Now, having front-mounted front ISOFIX seats actually makes it a lot easier to manage your kids. The back also gets ISOFIX, 2 of them in fact. So for me, that's quite important. Besides that, you also get these BOS switches, which, when it comes to managing children, is just so important. The next couple of things that I really like about the interior of the Santa Fe is the sitting position. I also like the fact that it comes with pedal shifters. Now this just makes it a lot easier to manage the powertrain of the car. If you're driving in sport mode and you suddenly want access to more power, you just drop down 2 gears to get that surge of power that you sometimes need when you're merging into traffic or when you're overtaking. Now the Santa Fe comes with a very smooth shifting 8-speed wet clutch DCT system. Super smooth, no doubt about it. And then besides that, I really like the fact that this triangle-ish window over here, now this may seem like a very small detail, but this reduces your blind spots, especially when you're taking a right-hand corner and there's oncoming traffic. So this little window over here makes it a lot more easier to drive this massive car, especially around tight roads. One small thing that deserves a special mention is this. Now, it may look like nothing, but there's a very small slot over here to just store your phones. Now this is something that a lot of other car makers can think about, but Hyundai did it first. And this is actually quite clever because you already have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto and such. So where do you keep your phone? Sometimes it just gets in the way, right? So what better way than to just neatly tuck it away in a dedicated slot over here. Now that's very clever. I like that. Now, keep in mind that the Hyundai Santa Fe is a family SUV. And when it comes to family SUVs, the things that matter are safety systems, which the Santa Fe has in abundance, such as 6 airbags and a lot of other electronic safety nets. And besides that, you also get a lot of space. I mean, check out the sitting space at the back over here. And just stepping in here after sitting at the front seats, you'll notice that the back seats are placed just slightly higher than the front seats. The other SUV that comes in mind that also does this is the Nissan X-Trail. The second row seats are just placed slightly higher than the front seats. Now this gives it a stadium-like effect where people are stacked so that the forward visibility is not hindered. You get that in the Santa Fe as well. So this is something that I appreciate because visibility is really good, and I'm sure your passengers as well as your children will appreciate this as well. Now in terms of comfort, top notch. You get this air conditioning vents over here. Now this, again, I really don't like air conditioning vents that are just placed down here. I think you should also have air conditioning vents either mounted on the ceiling, on the roof, or at the sides over here on the B pillar. So now this is just gonna be, cooling your knee rather than cooling your face. But then it makes up with that with twin USB ports. And then you also get this this hook over here. Now before you think of this as a teh tarik hook, what this is for is actually a tether hook for your child seat at the front. So you can use this to sort of hang all your tapao stuff, but that is actually a tether for your child seat. Besides that, you get you can get really comfortable at the back over here, and for added privacy, you get this blinds over here as well. Now, powering the Santa Fe is, as I've already mentioned, a 2.2 litre turbocharged diesel engine. Now this is also an all-wheel drive powertrain, meaning power is sent to all four wheels via, again, something that I've mentioned already, a smooth shifting 8-speed wet clutch double clutch transmission. Now, brilliant in the sense that power is very smooth. You get either 193 PS or 202 PS. I'm not sure which is which, because when I visit Hyundai Malaysia's website, it mentions 202 PS, but then when the agency for Hyundai Malaysia is telling me that it's 193 PS, so, and then some other publications are also saying that it's 193 PS, but either way, it's quite powerful. You also get 440 Newton meters of torque. It's a smooth shifting powertrain, and it's also quite efficient. Now, the thing about all-wheel drive powertrains is that they tend to be quite thirsty, but this is coupled with a diesel engine, and diesels are known to be quite efficient in that sense. They don't only create a lot of torque, but they also just sip rather than guzzle on fuel. Let's go take it for a drive. I love diesel powertrains. I just got to put it out there that I'm a big fan of diesel powertrains. And I know that they've had a bad reputation as being dirty and environmentally unfriendly and such. But that's mainly down to what happened in Europe with the Dieselgate scandal a couple of years ago and such. I do understand that they're not good for the environment, particularly with the amount of emissions that they produce. There's no denying that, but there's also no denying the fact that diesel has come a long way, and it's no longer the dirty, environmentally unfriendly source of combustion that it once was. In that sense, I think diesel has evolved incredibly well, and right now with Euro 5 diesel, B7, B10, diesel powertrains have come a long way. And that is why I'm just such a big fan of the Hyundai Santa Fe. It's not only because of what is powering the car up front, but it's just also because of how incredibly refined it is. Some of you may say that you don't like diesel powertrains because of that noisy clatter. I do understand, because it has a very industrial-like noise that it makes. But the thing is, with the Santa Fe, you get very little of that back inside the cabin, the refinement levels in here are actually quite impressive. It's something that you should experience yourself. And this is down to things like double glazed windows and such. So in that sense, I think the Hyundai Santa Fe is quite impressive to drive and such. And besides that, the powertrain produces 193 PS and 440 Newton meters of torque. The reason why 200 slipped away from my tongue was because I was doing some research earlier and I noticed that Hyundai Malaysia's official spec sheet puts the power output of the Hyundai Santa Fe at 202 PS. But further research showed me that the Santa Fe, particularly what was reported by some of Malaysia's leading motoring publications, put the power output at 193 PS. In fact, even Hyundai's own agency, PR agency, said that the Santa Fe puts out 193 PS. So should it be 202 PS or should it be 193 PS? I really am not too sure. But what I do know for a fact is that when I put my right foot down, there's a gentle shove in the back that only a diesel powertrain can do. That is the wall of torque that just carries you away into some obnoxious top speeds that you really shouldn't be doing. Anyway, talking about top speed, that's rated at about 203 or 205 kilometers per hour. Anyway, in terms of driving the Santa Fe, it's a very nice car to drive. Refinement levels in here, as I've already said, is brilliant. Suspension is nice, soft, supple, yet firm. You roll over speed bumps rather than crash into them. So the suspension system is made up of McPherson struts and multi-links at the back. And this is a very nice suspension system, which you do not get in other SUVs of this segment. So the Hyundai Santa Fe competes in Malaysia's D segment, and that would involve the likes of the Omoda C9 and such. And I don't remember the suspension system of the C9, but that is also a very nice car, there's no doubt about it. And then when it comes to spaciousness, comfort levels and such, that is an entirely different ball game in here. The thing about the interior is that it's not only spacious, I really like the fact that it comes with pure leather. None of that leatherette nonsense, none of that, which a lot of car makers, particularly those from China, seem to love. So that's the one thing that I like about the Santa Fe. That's among others, of course, as I've already put it out there. So in terms of living with the Santa Fe on a day-to-day basis, this is a really easy SUV to live with. There's no doubt that it's quite big. It's a big SUV, but obviously it comes with an around view monitor, which is basically Hyundai lingo for 360-degree cameras. And then besides that, you also get multiple proximity sensors, parking sensors if you may, and that just makes living with this SUV, parking, navigating through tight traffic spots and such, a lot more easier. So in that sense, I think the Santa Fe is quite brilliant on a day-to-day basis. But while it might be great, in city driving to keep you comfortable in traffic and such, so how does it feel at higher speeds, at highway speeds when you need to travel in between cities? Well, that is where the beauty of the diesel really shines bright. Diesel engines do incredibly well at higher speeds, because they excel so well in delivering torque. and they do it so smoothly that getting up to some incredibly illegal speeds is very easy. So having said that, right now I'm doing speeds that I will not mention, and I'm barely hearing anything. It's whisper quiet in the Santa Fe, and that is the beauty of this diesel powertrain. It's also an all-wheel drive powertrain, and that means power is being sent to all four wheels almost equally. And usually with all-wheel drive powertrains, they are thirstier than your regular two-wheel drive powertrains. But then again, I still have a range of over 815 kilometers. And that is another thing about the diesel powertrains, is that they're incredibly efficient. So let's not forget that Audi was one of those brands that showed the world how diesel powertrains can completely dominate motorsports as well, when with their TDI technology they won the Le Mans endurance race. So that is of course many years ago, 2012 if I'm not mistaken. But that is just proof that diesel powertrains do really well over in terms of endurance and in terms of efficiency as well. Now I'm sure you've seen many older generation Santa Fe's still plying our roads. Now you might joke that the reason people still hold on to their Santa Fe's is because people don't want them. Their resale value is so low. And while that is arguable, the other thing about the Santa Fe's is that you simply do not need to sell them. As soon as you're done paying for it, it can be your third or fourth car simply because of how reliable they are. That's the flip side about diesel powertrains, particularly with the Santa Fe. So this is a big, powerful SUV that is incredibly spacious yet comfortable at the same time. And that is something that I'm sure just about anybody can appreciate. In fact, for me personally, the only downside about the Santa Fe, particularly as far as the driving experience and the interior goes, is the fact that it only comes with 4 speakers, plus 2 tweeters of course, for combined 6, and this 8-inch infotainment screen. Right now we are at a time and age of gargantuan infotainment screens, so this does not quite cut it for me. Besides that, this Santa Fe is just such a charming SUV to drive. So there's very little not to like about the Hyundai Santa Fe. As I've already mentioned many times in this video, I'm a big fan of the diesel powertrain. Now, the big question over here is it worth the 209,000 ringgit that Hyundai Malaysia wants for it? Well, it goes up against some pretty stiff competition. The Omoda C9 has been making some waves, but this is quite special. It's a 7-seater, it feels well built, and quality is top-notch as well. And it also comes with a 5-year or 300,000 kilometer warranty. Now again, for me, it checks all my boxes, and as I've said already, for me diesel powertrains make a lot of sense, especially when it comes to people movers like the Santa Fe over here. It's a 7-seater and all. But is it worth 209,000 ringgit? I'm divided. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below, and help me decide whether it's worth the money. And if it's not worth the money, what would you spend 209,000 ringgit on? When it comes to people mover, you want 7 seats, when you want comfort, you want all the safety and technology that the Hyundai Santa Fe has to offer. Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Do consider subscribing.